Hi everyone, today I wanted to talk about a book that I have just devoured recently, and a lot of you always ask about self-help books, personal development books, what I'm reading, what I would recommend. So I wanted to dedicate a short video to this book because it's just wonderful, and I think so many of you will love it if you've not already heard of the poet slash author already. So the book is called Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce her last name. But she is on Instagram. She posts her like poems because she does a little illustration beside most of her poems, and they're just really lovely. So she posts them and they fit perfectly on Instagram because it's a nice little quote slash poem, something for someone to read. So she's got a huge following, and that's where I actually discovered her. I found her poems a real comfort recently, going through some stuff myself, and I know that so many people will read some of these poems and just like weep, like they're just wonderful. I'm not much into poetry at all. I've studied English all my life, but I've always been like into novels and writing essays about novels, not really writing my own stuff, and I've never really been into poetry that much. But I think her poetry style is quite like contemporary and modern, and I know a lot of people don't love this like newer style of poetry because it's definitely not a traditional way, but I love it. The blurb is a journey of surviving through poetry. This is the blood, sweat and tears of 21 years. This is my heart in your hands. This is the hurting, the loving, the breaking and the healing. So she talks about like her childhood and, you know, issues with her father. She talks about like her experiences of sexual assault and rape. She talks about falling in love for the first time, being in love, getting your heart broken, breaking up, and the last section is the healing. So she talks about like body image, self-worth, confidence, self-love, self-care, all that kind of stuff you guys know I'm all about. Something about the way she writes is just like a real comfort, and it's just so raw and like emotional, and I just love it. She does feature some of them on her Instagram, so you can read some of them and then decide for yourself, but she doesn't post them all, and there's literally so many of them, so I highly recommend you pick this up. And I really wanted to finish off by reading one of my favourites from the book, because I find it difficult to describe how a poem is or how a poet's like style is and everything, because I've not really studied it that much or read much poetry. But I thought if I read one out, then you'll get a kind of feel for like who she is and how she writes. For reference, if you do get the book, this is page 97. A lot of her poems don't have names, so you just kind of have to remember the page number. And you'll have to excuse me if this sounds rubbish. Like I said, I don't read poetry, so I don't know whether I'm saying this right, but I have to like read it out loud to you because it's amazing. Did you think I was a city big enough for a weekend getaway? I'm the town surrounding it, the one you've never heard of but always pass through. There are no neon lights here, no skyscrapers or statues, but there is thunder, for I make bridges tremble. I am not street meat, I am homemade jam, thick enough to cut the sweetest things your lips will touch. I am not police sirens, I am the crackle of a fireplace. I'd burn you and you still couldn't take your eyes off me, because I'd look so beautiful doing it, you'd blush. I am not a hotel room, I am home. I am not the whiskey you want, I am the water you need. Don't come here with expectations and try to make a vacation out of me. So good. So that is one of my favourite ones, and I hope that gives you an insight into her poetry style. She's very much about like female empowerment, loving yourself, like knowing your worth and all that good stuff. So I really hope that some of you pick this book up because it's just wonderful. So if you guys are into poetry as well, or similar kind of poem poet style to this. I'd love to know your recommendations because I've really enjoyed reading them. Give it a thumbs up if you want me to chat about more like self-help, personal development type books in the future. I read a lot of them, so I'd love to share more with you guys if I'm reading any particularly good ones. Please subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!